What about now? Yay. I don't know why it's like that, dude. I swear to God, YouTube did not used to be that way. But it is now. What's up, Harper? Dude, Harper, would you do me a favor? Would you look in the description to this stream and copy out my Cashtag and put it in a message so I can pin it? I'm going to try and grift my way into a pizza. Because I am very hungry, but I do not want anything in the fridge. Hi, Rainbow Dash. I can't control people's usernames, but that's a pretty funny one. I'm sorry, Harper. I wasn't trying to put you to work. Jesus. Ooh-wee. Got lots of stuff to talk about today. Lots of news that has been affecting the minds of everyone who's seen it, which makes sense because it's been awful shit. Ghetto Jesus with the $5. Holy shit. Getting right out the gate with the dono. To quote the dead Kennedys, Nazi eyes, fuck off. Order Domino's have $10 specialty pizza sale. Oh, yes. Somebody please. No, I would have to get it delivered, okay? Obviously. But Domino's does deliver to my house, dude. No, it's the little thing with the $sign, and then it says FulcrumPlusBayonets. That's the one I meant. That's the part of it that I was talking about. But yeah, dude, I want to do that now because I think Domino's, dude, they've got so many good specialty pizzas, though. They've got the fucking buffalo chicken specialty pizza. Well, maybe they do. I don't know if they still do, but they used to. And I know they've got a 3-meat treat or something like that. Get a real job. Man, that's bitterness just dripping out. Just like, picture yourself trying to pick up a handful of sand. And the bitterness is like that sand. As you spread your fingers, it just slips right through. Don't hold on to that shit, Brandon. Like, you don't gotta. Why? That just makes you feel worse. You look at me and you see somebody who's getting money that you don't think should get any money. But ultimately, why? Because I was born to the wrong family? Because I'm too queer? What? Like, ultimately, what is your problem with other human beings giving me money if they want to? If they find me entertaining or worthwhile, like, what is really your problem with that? I'm not out here, like, playing a pity case or anything, you know? I'm not, like, I don't make myself out to be a sad sack. I just tell you guys, you know, if you like the channel, you like me, or you want to see me eat a pizza, in the case of tonight, hit that fucking, you know, that's all I say. Wake up. I think I'm awake. I think you kind of have to be awake to be able to talk. Sadly, you're mentally ill, brain is ill, you need therapy and help. Well, nothing says that you need therapy and help like a badly typed comment from some internet random who's never known your medical history and never will. Isn't that just something I should really follow, huh? Do you play any video games? Occasionally, sure. I've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter World lately. Been going back to that. Before that, I was playing War Thunder for a while, and before that, I was playing some Battlefield 4. I cycle through different games as time goes on. What's up, Glitch Dash? Let me see if Harper sent. Yes. Thank you, Harper. Yes, I love you. Thank you so much. If you want to see me eat a pizza, fucking hit that Cash App up. It's the pinned message. Because, you know, I'm hungry, and I think that'll make good content. Seeing my fat ass eat a pizza, you know. You should try playing Skyrim. You'll be addicted. I have played a ton of Skyrim, but it is one of those games that goes in and out of interest for me, because ultimately, once you played Skyrim enough, there comes a point where, like, you can get a little fatigued with it, because you know, right, where you're going to go, like what the next direction is going to be. Now, I will say one of the reasons why you can have so much playtime, why you can get so many hours worth of playtime built up in a game like Skyrim, is because it gives you, like, endless options to go and do things differently. And it gives you lots of different geographical areas that have little, you know, particulars that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. You have to go through a lot of the dungeons in the game. You really have to go through them 2 or 3 times to figure out where all the different turns that you should take are, and where all the different treasure chests are. There's plenty of dungeons you can complete, you know, and finish them completely without accessing half the treasure in them. So, very addicting game, very fun. Why does the algorithm keep showing me Chris Chan? I don't know. You would have to ask YouTube, you know? You would have to ask them. Why does the algorithm keep recommending people whose only media reference is Chris Chan to me, is my question. Do you support high schoolers being taught about butt plugs in health class? No. I mean, no more than I support or don't support them being taught about any other aspect of sexuality. I mean, like, I'm not an educator, so I don't know that I should be the one setting curriculum. Dude, you guys are going to get fuck-owned in the elections. Everything Trump does, everything the Trump administration does right now, sets them farther and farther apart from the average American person in this country. The average American person does not want to see random people getting killed by ICE and Border Patrol and left like dogs, okay? The random, like, average person in America supports universal health care. They don't want to see the insurance system get even worse and even more privatized, as the very last vestige of the ADA, the fucking healthcare subsidies, is completely, or the ACA, I'm sorry, but the last little vestige of the ACA is currently being stripped away with the end of these subsidies, and like 76% of Americans are for universal health care. You know, people don't want to see these massive immigration raids, and this literally, JD Vance says that they're going door to door in certain neighborhoods looking for immigrants. I mean, that is just patently illegal. That is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Your mere being in a neighborhood does not make you guilty. That is fucking ridiculous. And the government is not supposed to have the right to just randomly search your house for no good reason other than you might be harboring an immigrant. I mean, you might be. Yeah, you might be. You also might have a fucking nuke in your basement. Do we need to fucking loot everybody's house looking for nukes now? It's ridiculous, and MAGA has completely ceded any ability. Like, I hope you guys know, any Republican, any right-winger that is currently still MAGA, even despite this shit, you guys have lost your right to cite opposition of tyranny as a reason why you like your Second Amendment rights. Just saying. You guys are not opposed to tyranny. You guys fucking love tyranny. See, my ass was opposed when Charlie Kirk was killed for his speech. My ass is still opposed when Renee Good dies because she's panicked, and she's literally panicking because there are a bunch of fucking cops swarming around her and giving her conflicting instructions. I still stand opposed when fucking 2 random undocumented immigrants die and are left in a parking lot by Border Patrol. I don't give a fuck who's dying for stupid fucking reasons, and I don't give a fuck about the motivations of the people who do it. I just want to start getting us some better outcomes as Americans. Excuse me for that. By the way, if you want to see my fat ass eat a pizza at some point tonight, hit that Cash App up. Domino's has a $10 fucking specialty pizza sale, apparently. What drug are you on? If you can't guess from that column of smoke, then I'm not going to tell you. You look so miserable. I think I just kind of have resting bitch face a little bit. I've been told that I look miserable at times when I'm actually, like, really happy. So, I think maybe I just have a little bit of RBF, you know? The person who grows your weed is a Republican? Most probably. Yeah. I'm not like rabidly hateful of Republicans though. I'm not even really rabidly hateful of MAGA. What I feel for MAGA is much more along the lines of pity than anger and hatred. It's I mean, I know that sounds like really insulting and mean, but I don't mean it to. Like I'm not like sitting seething at rage all the time at MAGAs, because MAGAs ultimately are not the people doing all the things I disagree with. It's their fascist president that they continue to support. But once you understand the mechanisms behind that political support, it becomes a little difficult to actually stay mad at them. It's one thing to say things that, if true, would be quite insulting and derisive of the MAGA movement. That's one thing. But I think you can say that MAGA is a cult without hating everyone in MAGA. I think you can recognize that people are saying Trump 2028 are fucking completely lost without saying you hate those people and dismiss them forever as not being useful at all. And as far as just standard rate Republicans go, people that have already abandoned, like Marjorie Taylor Greene types, I've got a ton of them that are casual watchers of my channel, dude. They're probably a bulk of my subscriber base. I've got no problem with like baseline Republicans. I think I can probably move them over on enough stuff. And what I can't move them over on, I feel like most Republicans will probably, like maybe not most, but I feel like given a choice, most would opt on the side of liberty. Like that's, maybe changing now, but there's always been like a big pattern of dissent within the Republican Party. And like Republicans have always been able to scalp a lot of votes off of people who would normally be independent too, which is, that's great because that means people have like at least some perception of electoral choice. At least the independents feel like they can vote however they want. Not that it makes much of a difference, I guess. Trump 2028 all the way. Who's with me? Oh boy. I don't know who is going to be with you for a completely unconstitutional project that Mike Johnson himself has said is impractical. And you guys are not getting JD Vance in. I don't buy it. I'm just going to say it flat out. I do not buy it. You guys are not going to get JD Vance in there. Nobody likes him. JD Vance is a charisma void. Politics are a waste of energy. Focus on Jesus. Jesus is a waste of energy, my friend. There's almost no bigger waste of energy than the practice of Christianity as far as Americans go, at least in my opinion. Look at this goofball. Well, that's wasn't nice enough to be like something I can like say thank you, so I don't even know what to do with that, Be meaner. Bridge Troll just called Vance Riz Void. So I'm right. I've wondered this whole time if Riz was some kind of Zoomer shortening for charisma. And it's good to know that it is. It's good to know that it is. Yeah. No, I don't know. Do you hate JD Vance because his children are race mixed? Huh? No? The fuck? What? What a stupid reason to hate somebody. Hating somebody because their fucking kids are race mixed? No, I don't give a fuck. I've had sex with black women. How could I possibly get mad at someone for having race mixed kids? I'm like 1% like black and Iranian. That's not a joke, by the way. Like if you want to join the membership, because later on I'm doing a members only stream, and if you guys ask on that stream, I can literally pull it up for you guys. Be kind of cool. So like, as a product of like race mixing 300 years ago or something, it would be kind of weird for me to hate JD Vance on that basis, It's like, oh yeah, I had a black ancestor sometime around the time of the transnational slave trade, but no, I still hate black people. Like, it's just, what a weird position to fucking have. I know you don't know any of that about me, and just like looking at me, obviously, wow, how would you? But it's just strange to think how many people are willing to hate people for absurd reasons like that. The fact that someone would ask me about it means someone out there does. Do you like Hispanics like me? I'm certainly not like, I'm not like automatically predisposed towards any race, because I feel like that would be pretty racist. But honestly, if there is a race that I'm predisposed to, it is probably Mexicans. I'm not going to lie. Mexican people and Hispanic people broadly. I've just got more experience with Mexican people than any other kind of Hispanic person. Like I've not met that many Cubans. I've not met that many, you know, Central Americans. I've not met that many Venezuelans, I've met tons of Mexicans. Hold on. Let me make the chat a little bit more readable. Hold on. God damn it. Okay, there we go. We're going to do subscriber mode, which will make most of the bots and spammers just go away. And they'll just sit on their hands and watch, which is their rightful place. And the 20-second slow mode will just make sure that people can't fucking flood the chat with their own main character syndrome bullshit. Once again, please consider liking the stream and hitting that like button. That means the same thing, but I said it twice so that you'll remember. Bots ruined everything? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, literally. We don't talk about it nearly enough because we've kind of just like accepted it with an infinitely passive shrug. But the fact of it is, bots have literally made the internet nigh on unusable at this point. And it only seems to be getting worse, literally. It does not seem to be showing any signs of realistic improvement. Are you a leftist? Yes, 100%. Hardcore leftist. I consider myself a market socialist in the near term and an anarcho-syndicalist in the long term. I think that these are not necessarily even things that you have to want for. I just think that if allowed to continue expressing their voice in the way that the working class seems to want to, I think that properly guided, these things are kind of inevitable. Every time you, like a lot of times, a collapse has a way of inducing those kind of community bonds and making things have to change, and a bunch of people that are well informed about leftist theory are probably not going to allow and the average American is way more informed about leftist theory than they understand, because as it turns out, leftists have been dragging this country to the left by hook or by crook for 250 years. We've been trying and trying to make it more livable every year. And we win some, we lose some. But I think eventually it will only make sense for us to evolve into a market socialist system. I think either we'll be taken there by collapse and massive restructuring that comes out of that collapse, or we will be taken there after the 2028 elections when we elect some kind of socialist, which I think is very likely. I do not think that we are going to go with a conservative in 2028 as Americans. The statistics do not. There are a ton of people that are opposed to what Trump is doing. The politically unengaged are becoming a smaller and smaller number. That bodes well for the election of a socialist. Can you explain how anarchy is a tenable position? Sure. I think the main reason people think anarchy is not a tenable position is because they assume when I say anarchy, that means I want to see everybody living in Mad Max, right? I don't. I don't. I just don't want you to have qualified immunity because you're a cop, right? I don't want the senator to be looked at any differently than the commoner when it comes to anything. There should not be a difference in the rate that they are paid. There should not be a difference in the class that they are uplifted into. You should not be able to privilege yourself above your fellow human being. There are always going to be people who are going to have to be the enforcers, who, even if you've got a banishment system, you're going to have some big, strong girls and guys who are going to go over there and haul them fuckers out and throw them out the town gates or drive them out of the city or whatever the case may be, right? You're always going to have people that are making the decisions as to what, the techno-futuristic automated factory is making. Like people who are more knowledgeable in that kind of thing. And you're always going to have fucking people that, have an interest in debating what kind of policies should be, set forth in the future. But none of these positions need to come with some kind of assumed hierarchical stepladder that places them above you. You don't have to be in one of these positions and be better than the person that you're working with in terms of a leadership position, What's your stance on immigration? I think that obviously I would say fuck the border. We don't need borders, open borders, please. But You know, like, I know that that's not a very tenable position to get Americans to vote for in modern day politics. So if I'm saying like what I would have a president say, like, or what, like a presidential candidate or a party candidate or something, the position I would want them espousing is, yeah, illegal immigration is a problem for a number of reasons, but the solution is not to lock more people out and to deport people, treating them like animals the whole time. The answer is amnesty. The answer is Reaganite in nature. It's amnesty. The answer is amnesty. That could literally be the slogan, by the way. Anybody out there is an organizer? You're looking for a slogan? The answer is amnesty. The answer is amnesty. The answer is amnesty. Make the conservatives argue against Reagan. Make the right wing argue against Reagan. If you're a socialist for workers' rights, then shouldn't you be against mass immigration, which depresses wages? No, I think that workers' wages and conditions should be protected primarily by mass organization by those workers. And I think mass immigration to America, at the very least, should be accommodated and accepted, because I think that, you know what, the neoconservatives always say that America is a unique country, and they always finish up the sentence with a unique destiny to fight evil and implement good, right? But I want to finish the sentence with, yeah, America is a unique country with a unique destiny to fucking accept immigrants from anywhere else on the planet, because this entire country is predicated on stolen land and a bunch of fucking people that were all like, dude, people call Australia a prison colony, but do you realize that it was a punishment for literally like 50 fucking years? You could get sent to the New World by the British Crown as a punishment for a crime. We're a fucking prison colony, founded by Great Britain, taken over and molded by Germans, Britons, Scots, Irish, and Frenchmen, and Dutch people, and then expanded even more, obviously with slavery for years and years. And then after black people were emancipated, we started to become an even more, melted mixing pot. And I mean, I just think that we are like unique in that sense, that we don't have like some national ethnic identity, because this country started out as an eclectic mix of Native Americans and white people and their black slaves. And back then, white people didn't even consider themselves some kind of united group. That was pretty much something that was invented for the Atlantic slave trade. Back then, it was way more common to align yourself on national lines. Irishmen hated Brits, Brits hated Scotsmen and Irishmen, Germans hated French, French hated the Spanish, the British hated the Spanish hated the French and the British, et cetera, et cetera. Italians hate everybody. What Starbucks do you work at? Good call, but this is actually my job, if you can believe it. By the way, send a super chat if you want to make sure your comment or question gets read or answered. I do read every single one, as long as it doesn't violate TOS. You can also do the same thing by donating to my Cash App, which is the pinned comment up here. And if you guys send enough, I'm going to order a fucking pizza. And you guys can watch my fat ass eat a pizza on my members-only live stream that will be going live at 10 p.m. 676767. What flavor of Geek Bar you like? I like candy flavored ones. I'm a fat ass that's got a sweet tooth, and the candy flavored ones make me like better able to regulate that and not actually eat a bunch of candy, Makes me not want to crave fucking candy and shit. Get a job? I am legally employed according to the standards of the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. Sorry that you don't like that, but it is unfortunately true. Entire livelihood is based on Cash App donations? No. I'm just encouraging people to donate with a, it's, I don't know. I feel like it's really like kind of cynical to go through the reasoning behind it, but it's like, could I order my own pizza? Should I order my own pizza? Or, do I take advantage of the like fact that people love to see fat asses eating fucking junk food these days and post my Cash App up and make that one of the stream donut goals? Do you see are you picking up what I'm putting down? I don't know. Makes sense to me. Maybe it doesn't make sense to other people. Hit the like button, 100%. Why are you for open borders? Because I don't believe that being born in one patch of land should exclude you from seeing the rest of the world. I don't think that your country should have a right to keep you in one particular patch of land merely because you had the misfortune of being born there. Nor do I think other countries should be able to keep people. Like, it just doesn't make any sense that you should, by circumstance of birth, be limited. Not just to not going outside of your country unless you meet specific markers and everything, but not going into other people's countries. Like, you just can't, you just can't do that under a bordered system unless you create a system that kind of opens the borders, like the Schengen area. I like, ultimately what I would want to see is not the complete elimination of those delineations, because I think that they can be useful for cultural context, for tax context, etc. What I would want to see is the development of a system kind of like what's going on in the EU with the Schengen area. That, like, you can go, from fucking the southern tip of Italy to the northern tip of Scotland, and like the only place you'll cross a border crossing is when you're going into Britain. And I don't even know if that's true. Like, I know that they did Brexit, but I don't know if they left the Schengen area at the same time. Mass immigration typically is not good economically for long term of any country. I mean, so far it's been pretty economically great for America. I think it could be even economically better, though, if we were actually protecting the workers that are involved in this scenario. We are massively reliant on the labor of undocumented workers, but we, for some reason, do not have any interest as a people in protecting those workers. I do. And I think that our economy would prosper because of it, because would be, I think people would be moving in. I think people would be, obviously, there'd be a ton more people making more money. These corporations have the money to do this shit, and if you protect workers' wages, if you protect workers' benefits, if you implement some fucking price controls in critical areas, you can steward the economy in a way that forces rich people to take a hit to their own profits. Elon Musk does not need to make, $40 billion more this year, or whatever it'll end up being. Elon Musk does not have to. Bill Gates does not have to make another $30 billion this year. He doesn't have to. It's not like he will crumble into dust if he does not. We can tax these motherfuckers. We can. Can you pray for me? Yes, you can pray for me. I'm like, how would I even know if you did? Literally, how would I know if you did? Then why don't you try to help protect wages? What do you mean? Like, what are you proposing I do? Guess you're not aware. Blue state corps love the low-wage workers. Do you think that a corporation operating in a blue state has anything to do with that corporation's politics? Corporations exist where the money is, retard. They're not looking for politics. They're looking for money. They've got factories wherever it makes sense for them to have factories. They've got farms wherever it makes sense for them to have farms. What do you think about churches that allow LGBTQIA? I think they're a lot closer to the mission of Christ. Christ didn't say, "Come unto me," unless you are gay, unless you're trans, unless you're Mexican, unless you're bi. Do you like how I threw a racial minority in there with the sexual minorities? No, but seriously, I think that it is way closer to the mission of Christ to accept all people, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, and obviously nationality and race. But we already pretty much understand that one. Christianity wants to spread itself to every group of people on this planet, except the gays. It wants to kill the gays. It wants to, like, destroy us. Have you seen Oliver Tree? Before you look, very similar. It's very cool. I don't really know. Oliver Tree's got like a bowl cut that goes all the way around. I've got bangs. you know? I don't see the resemblance as much as people cite it, but is what it is. Islam does? Some branches of Islam are accepting of gay people. Some branches of Islam are incredibly critical and damaging towards gay people, so I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Is the satanic logo on the flag come like that, or did you put it on there? That is a spirit board, and I'm not a spiritualist, but I do think it's a cool thing to have on my set. So I keep it in the background here, and I think it's, it adds to the vibe. It adds a little something something. Riley, the American SS is popping citizens in the streets, and y'all want to talk about what Jesus may or may not have said about butt sex? Yeah, let's talk about that. So, 2 people were murdered in Portland, and apparently the fucking Border Patrol just left them, I guess, left them in a parking lot, and they literally called the cops on their own shooting. The victims called the cops, and they came out, discovered these 2 people that had been shot and apparently just left by ICE. Now, I don't know under what fucking possible, I don't know under what possible corruption of police protocol even you could consider that legitimate conduct. Like, there's no way that that's ever acceptable. There's so many things wrong with what happened in this situation that I don't even really know where to begin. Let's start with a shooting that is apparently not reported to the local police department and apparently not announced, discussed, or anything by ICE itself or Border Patrol. We've got them leaving the scene of this, it might be a crime. There has to be an investigation there. You're supposed to call the local PD if you shoot somebody. If you're a federal agent and you shoot somebody in somebody's town, you don't just leave the body there and not call anybody. Even if all the shit you know about fucking police procedure is watching TV, then you have probably seen enough cops come upon crime scenes and enough cops involved in shootings and shit like that to know that the first step after you shoot somebody as a cop, unless you're trying to get away with murder, is to call it in. Literally, first step. Holy shit, we just shot somebody, 1080, or whatever it is. Do you have authority rejection disorder? Not as far as I know. I'm perfectly fine with legitimate authority in necessary situations. What I don't accept is illegitimate authority based merely on hierarchy. I think that the laws of a people should be decided collectively, enforced collectively, and discussed and evolved collectively. Do you not realize vaping is truly killing you? And I don't agree with what you say, but I hope you... Oh my God. Concern trolling about the vaping. Yes, I know. Okay? Trust me, I'm aware. Literally, my Twitter handle is in my description of this stream. Go look at that and tell me I ain't aware. I made a post about it yesterday. What's your opinion on centrists? I wish sometimes that they would, I don't know. I guess it depends on the centrist. I ultimately don't have a lot of hatred for centrists. I feel like they're okay. I feel like most centrists are usually people that are just looking for a better deal from their government and don't feel particularly swayed by the arguments of either side of politics. And that makes me feel like, okay, well, that's why if we just offer a good economic package, right, which is what I think that the socialist candidate that runs in 2028 should do, they need to go on an exclusively economics and economics adjacent fucking thing. It needs to be all about uplifting fucking working class with universal social safety nets. That needs to be the fucking drive. I've outlined my 5 policies that I think that they should go for, but I think that if they did that, they would not only would they win big, but I think that you would address a lot of that shit. And you would be able to get a lot of centrists that otherwise might not vote for Democrat or a Republican, or might just vote for either one, whichever seems less disagreeable. You might actually get them to be a little impassioned about your cause if you presented something that you could make an argument for how it's going to affect and improve everyone's life. I don't want anyone in office in 2028. I mean, yeah, me too. Ultimately, friend, I share that sentiment, right? Ultimately, I don't want to see anybody in fucking office in 2028. I want to see the office of the executive abolished, and I want to see the Supreme Court have to be selected from the people's will. That would be great. I would love to see the end of the executive branch. It would be amazing. It would be awesome. You don't need it. The executive branch was pretty much created by the founding fathers to keep a check on the people's power. It's pretty much invented as a way for rich people to always make sure that they've got a fucking leash, a choke chain on all of us. That's why the only time they ever elected a socialist adjacent president in the form of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that's why he was elected 4 times, and that's why they rabidly fucking jumped on the opportunity to change. They changed term limits for the presidency in the wake of his presidency. They changed rules on voting. There was all kinds of shit that came out of the wake of FDR's reign because they knew if you ever allow another socialist to run in America, he'll keep doing this amazing shit. And he'll keep hurting fucking businesses' wallets too. And he'll keep not giving a fuck because America will keep getting better and the people's fucking health will continue to improve, And we're not going to make as much money. Like, America literally since the 1940s has been trying its best. Not America, I should say. America's elite since the 1940s have been trying to fight the reforms of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. America without the executive branch, literally, it's just a check on the people's power. That's why the one time a socialist adjacent person got in there, he was able to do so much good for the country. And that's why he was able to stay in there for so long, is ultimately it was designed so that with enough guile and purchase on the voting power of the people, you could keep these rich, well-connected fucks that maybe had slightly different positions on this, that, or the other thing. But you could keep that kind of person, right, and nobody else in the presidency. You could keep it out of the hands of regular, ordinary people. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt was not a normal, ordinary person, which is why he was allowed to rise to power in the first place. But then he turned on the establishment. He ended up being way more agreeable to socialist policies and unionizers and things like that. He ended up, basically enacting the policies that got America out of World War II, or I'm not sorry, got America out of the Great Depression, and he led the country through World War II, and then set us up with the framework for modern America. Doesn't get nearly enough credit for doing it, and he literally is America's only socialist adjacent president, only allowed to rise to power because he was adjacent to wealth and power already, and decided to go a different direction. Much in the same way that Fidel Castro did, actually. Fidel Castro was also born into poverty, ended up becoming a socialist later in life, or no, I'm sorry, born into wealth. I said poverty, but I meant wealth. He was born into wealth and ended up becoming a socialist later on when he started to see just how much the system of wealth and power that was set up in Cuba was disenfranchising his people, just how unhealthy they were, just how impoverished and illiterate they were. You can't say you support what ICE just did. No, hell no. I don't support what ICE just did. Fuck no. I think that what ICE did is a fucking, literally so objectively obvious as a crime that it shocks me that the dude is still walking around, apparently enforcing ICE rules. How the fuck are you supporting Castro right now? Well, I don't support Castro necessarily. I just think that he gets a bad rap, okay? Is that a boy or a girl? A girl. By the way, donate to my Cash App if you want to see me eat a fucking pizza later, because I would love to eat a pizza, but I don't necessarily feel I want you guys to pay for it, basically, is what it is, Nakedly about that. What authority is not based on hierarchy? I think that like modern conceptions of authority largely rely on hierarchy, but there's plenty of context that you can find authority that is not predicated on it. Like a lot of authority is actually based on experience. Like the main reason you trust, for example, your line supervisor or your team lead or something like that at your job is not necessarily because they have the ability to fire you, because they probably don't. But they do know way more than you do, right? Or ostensibly they do, like if you're a newbie or something like that. And so the authority that they have in the workplace, yeah, I mean, partly it's reinforced through hierarchy, but really ultimately it's based on, um, uh, ultimately it's based on experience and the presumption that that person has more knowledge and experience to offer, you know? That's just one example. Far left and far right politics are practically identical. Sure, how they arrive at their conclusion differs, but it's the same nonetheless. The far right wants to literally like ban any kind of speech that isn't in concert with what they want, and wants to like let the free market do whatever it wants. And the people on the farthest left, like they've got some censorious tendencies, but not nearly as bad as the farthest right people do. And they are not about a free market at all. They're like, you know, people in my position are like, tax the fuck out of the corporations, limit prices where necessary, et cetera, et cetera. Here you go. Well, thank you, William Gulla, for the $4.99. Look at that. Look at that. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. What's your opinion regarding Theodore Roosevelt and his presidency, as well as his later 1912 election campaign? That was the one where he ran as a bull moose, right? Is that the one where he ran as a bull moose? I don't remember that much about the Theodore Roosevelt presidency. I remember way more about Franklin Delano Roosevelt's presidency, but literally FDR is like the last president that I could tell you shit about. Like outside of a couple, I guess. Whatever. I'm reading through a People's History of the United States right now, so come back to me in a month and I'll have more information for you. All right? If someone donates 100, can you do a dab? I don't have any dabs. But, you know, if somebody donates 100, I'll be eternally grateful, especially if they donate to my Cash App, because I can use it instantly to order myself a pizza. A trans moose? Huh? What? A trans moose? Do what? Sorry, it's not much. Don't fucking no, dude. Don't be like that. $5 is $5 I didn't have before. You do know the policies you're mentioning would just make everyone poor. No, they would not. They would, in fact, bring the poorest among us out of poverty and raise the overall wealth of everyone, because a rising tide raises all ships. And that's all that I'm proposing for America. By the way, please hit that like button. We have fucking 300 viewers, but we're sitting at 23 likes, and that is absolutely miserable. It really does help, and I really do appreciate it. And if you've been watching for 45 minutes, you like this stream. Come on, you like the stream. You're in Blinker City. I wish that I was... let me just say I wish. I wish. Okay? I wish. Do you like what Trump did to the Venezuelan president, or do you not, because the Democrats didn't do that yet? I don't like the Democrats either, so you're not going to get me on one of those. I'm not some big fan of the Democrats. I would hate what we did to Venezuela, whether it was Joe Biden's old decrepit ass doing it, or right now when it's Trump's old decrepit ass doing it. I think that American imperialism is a bad project, whether the person sitting in the White House has a D next to their name or an R next to their name. I opposed Joe Biden when he signed a fucking $250 billion deal with Raytheon to re-up their contract for another bunch of U.S. taxpayer-funded R&D that goes nowhere and builds death, right? I opposed Joe Biden when he was bombing Syria. I opposed the method by which Joe Biden chose to get out of Afghanistan, because I thought that it was needlessly cruel in the face of deals that had been made and opportunities that were there, but not taken up because we didn't consider them. Because Joe Biden considered it politically expedient not to take care of the Northern Alliance. Send Phoebe money for a pizza and send me an email if you want a pizza roll. Yes, real Riley Weston is right. No, but seriously, hit that hashtag in the fucking pinned comment and you can help me get a pizza tonight. I'm 55 but feel like a 12-year-old. Do you think people should treat me like a 12-year-old because I identify as one? I mean, if you wanted to, you could find a group of people that would be willing to. Like, do I think that legislation should be introduced to force people to do that? No, but I also don't think that about trans people. I don't think that there should be legislation introduced forcing people to gender me correctly, you know? I just think that they're a douchebag if they don't. Similarly, you know, like, I don't really know that there's anything, just in a vacuum, that by itself, it's not, how the fuck does it affect me? That's my question with all these hypothetical scenarios that people cook up. People are like, okay, so can I identify as a wolf now? And I'll be like, well, okay, that's absurd, but unironically, yeah, why not? Unironically though, why not? Who does it harm if you identify as a wolf? What is a woman? Someone who identifies as one. And by the way, that application applies to cisgender women as well. Cisgender women also identify as women. There are just some cisgender women that don't like accepting that fact. What do you like about FDR? Let's start with the Civilians Conservation Corps, and then let's go right to the establishment of Social Security. Then let's go right over to the rebuilding of America's infrastructure from the ground up. Then let's head right over to, I don't know, the whole New Deal. I need to stop hitting that thing. I need to start hitting this. You know you can identify as a different gender, right? Not according to the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Association of Pediatrics, etc., etc. Not according to the entire medical community and broad scientific consensus. But yeah, because some random idiot in YouTube chat said it, it must be true. I think you're very cool, by the way. Aw, thank you, Azure. I appreciate that. I love being cool. Only good thing the government did this year was rescheduling weed. Well, at least we can agree there, friend. At least we can agree there. Goddamn right. Well, you say this year. That was last year. Outside of streaming, what do you do for a living? I don't mean any malice by that question. I don't do anything else for a living. This is my living. That's why I always stress that this is an audience-supported channel, and you may not like the content. It might not be for you, but, that's why I always encourage people to sign up for my memberships, to watch members-only streams like the one I'm about to do in 20 minutes. That's why I'm always encouraging people to send super chats. That's why I'm trying to con people into buying me a pizza through my Cash App right now, is because this is legitimately how I make my living. And I like to think that I'm pretty entertaining. I don't think that I'd be continuously growing the channel if I wasn't, something tells me that my numbers would be worse. I don't know. I guess this is the first time I've ever had some modicum of popularity on a social media platform, but it seems like I'm doing right. Is that a guitar? It is a guitar. And for $10 or more at a Cash App or Super Chat, you guys can get some music out of me for that. Are you considered disabled then? Not trying to be malicious. No, I don't get any other income from any other source. This is how I pay for my life. Before I did this, I worked at a factory for a couple of months. Before I did that, I worked at Taco Bell for 2 years. Before that, I worked at a resort hotel for 3 or 4 months. And before that, I was living in a minivan, traveling across the country. Do you know Jay the Great? No. What are the other genders besides male and female? Okay, so male and female are not genders, they're sex identifiers. Woman and man are genders, and there's also people that are non-binary. There are people that consider themselves gender fluid, and there are conceptions of gender that exist outside of America that are probably notable as genders on their own. There are Native American tribes that recognize third genders, and this is before you get into all the weird xenogenders that people have come up with now. Like, I'm not saying that there's 110% provable scientific validity as accorded by a scientist to every one of those, but I also don't see what possible harm it is in letting people identify as whatever they want. For me, I'm a binary trans woman. I feel like a woman. I've lived as a woman for the last 6 years. I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine being just a binary trans woman. I don't feel the need to, ally myself with a more specific gender identity than that like breaks the binary barrier, but I think people should be allowed to. I support people's right to explore that limit of human psychology and consciousness. Are there only 2 genders? Depends on who you ask. If you ask me, no, there are lots of gender identities, and it is really not captured well. With the best you could say is that maybe it's kind of like a spectrum with 2 ends, maybe. But really, that's even a difficult way to describe it, and I don't know that I'm enough of a YouTube philosopher to really explain all the finer points of it to you. MS Sportsman, that's actually sex that you're talking about right now. That's sex, not gender. The flag and the body type match like a glove. What can you actually tell about my body type from the way I'm sitting right now? That's absurd. So, another thing that happened, you guys, did you guys see that we got some new footage released of, so it's actually the angle that got released is, fuck. So we got some new footage released of the ICE shooting that happened in Minneapolis, and the new angle is of the officer that actually did the shooting. And you can see how he's literally getting out. So he chooses to park his car in the middle of the fucking road, and you see him getting out of this unmarked Chrysler Pacifica. You see him walk purposefully in front of the vehicle, hugging it all close so that he puts himself in danger should she decide to start moving. She doesn't try to, like, you're not instructed. I don't know if you guys know this. You are not supposed to try and use your body as an incentive to get a criminal to stop. It's one of the stupidest things to do, and it has been roundly shown to lead to more officer death. So you are not supposed to put yourself in the fucking line of you're not supposed to put yourself in the line of fire, period, in any job, but especially as a cop, you're not supposed to put yourself in the line of danger. And you can see himself put himself in the line of danger. He's clearly antagonizing this woman that he's like circling around the car of, and he does 2 full circles around the fucking truck, and it's on the completion of that second circle that the crazed fucking roided out rage beast that comes up to her door and starts yanking on the handle like that, he scares the fuck out of her, and literally 2 seconds before that, you see her chalking the wheels to the right so she can fucking get out through this small little window that exists between the front of that motherfucker's Chrysler Pacifica and the sidewalk. And she would have avoided him. He steps in to the path of the car, and that's before we even fucking consider the fact that she was getting all of these contradicting directions as to what she was supposed to be doing. Some of the officers are telling her, leave, you got to get out of here. And then others are telling her, stop, get out of the car. Then you got some roided out rage beast in armor with a gun in their hand. I think most of us would have probably hit the gas. That's literally right out of a dystopian fiction film. That's right out of a fucking, that's right out of, I don't even know what to compare it to, man. No selling silver in the chat, please. What the fuck? What would you estimate your IQ to be? I have no idea. I would not know. In one ear, she has a thug yelling at her to exit the car. In the other ear, they're yelling at her to leave. And in front is a trigger-happy thug. Exactly. She's surrounded on all sides by masked agents of the federal government who are actively intimidating her and actively confusing her with different orders that are meant to confuse her to cause a scene. They wanted to shoot somebody that day. They wanted death. And you want proof of it? Just look at that right-wing influencer the other day who was literally saying, "We executed one of you guys!" And it's got the entire fucking PD behind him. Literally got the entirety of ICE and local deployment behind him. There was no other explanation for that. That was an execution of an American citizen because she had the wrong opinions. Because she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, trying to hold the police to accountable. What about when the left made fun of Charlie Kirk? So that makes it so okay, so have you ever heard the phrase that two wrongs don't make a right? I feel like this is such a fundamental and basic principle to human decency that I really shouldn't need to explain it, but continuing a pattern of toxicity doesn't actually lead to the temperature going down. I agree that it was not a good look for the left to be making fun of Charlie Kirk super hardcore and super public platforms and everything, I don't know that that was the best look for us. I certainly was not engaging in that. I think that my opinion on Charlie Kirk has always been very nuanced as far as like my opinion since his death, But I would agree with you that the left's response was pretty ghoulish, but I also think that the right's response to this is utterly ghoulish, and a lot of you guys don't seem to. Which means I am ideologically consistent, and you guys are not. Those of you who are defending ICE and defending this illegal action. I'm not saying all of you, okay? Can you read your comment? Sure, Ian. Well, I said I could, but now I can't. Am I MAGA? No, I'm not MAGA. I'm just more conciliatory towards MAGA people than a lot of leftist content creators are, because the algorithm seems to favor sending them to my streams, and I figure maybe I can convince some of you guys to hopefully vote for universal healthcare at some point, Maybe I can get some of you guys to consider trans people human beings. That would be nice. By the way, please consider joining the membership. Because in 13 minutes, we are going to be doing a members-only stream where we are going to be covering a Bosch video, and we are going to be taking a look at Ignar Husky, who is on the ground in Portland covering some of the shit going down there. So if you guys want to see that, please consider joining the membership. It is super fucking cheap. Does not cost a lot at all. Do you still vape? Yes, I still vape. You can be MAGA in chat, but no spam. Yeah, please no spam. If you're going to repost something, repost it every fucking minute or so. What political system do you align with the most? Market socialism in the near term. I think if once we establish market socialism, that eventually will evolve into some kind of anarcho-syndicalist utopia. But I think it would take us a long time to get there. And I think in the near term, what we need to shoot for is some kind of market socialism where human needs are taken care of and luxuries and amenities are taken care of by the marketplace. I still think you should be able to buy a PS4. I just don't know why why your housing should be up to the whims of a marketplace, It just doesn't make any sense to me. No, I'm not an ANCAP. No, definitely not. Market socialism is the idea that you need some limitations on the marketplace, some complete removal of some things, some like the decommodification of certain things, and that other things need to be left to be commodities, left to be objects in the marketplace. Well, I'm Southern and I'm anti-Trump, so what about me? See, you don't detect it because I don't have the accent anymore, because, when I was 14, my parents divorced. I moved up to Missouri with my mom. Didn't make any sense for me to um, continue having that accent when I was getting made fun of for it constantly. So I actively trained it out of myself. But born and raised in Mississippi, and I live there now. Do you support deportation of illegals? No, I support amnesty, just like Reagan did. Let's liberate the U.S. South. Yes! You're not Southern, there ain't no accent. Exactly, see? Whatever. Belief or disbelief rests with you. North Carolina here. Nice, nice. Are you from Texas? No, I'm from Mississippi. What's your opinion on Andrew Wilson? I don't know who that is. I feel like I've watched a debate involving him at one point or another, but I don't know that I actually know who that is. Vape flavor? That one is summer strawberry. Have you been to Texas Hill Country? Yes, I've been through the Texas Hill Country once or twice. Very far-right individuals completely agree with your political ideology, by the way. So very far-right individuals would agree that we need to completely subsidize housing for everyone, regardless of race, regardless of skin color, regardless of gender, regardless of sexual orientation. That we need to provide wide, universal social safety nets for everyone. No, they wouldn't. Okay, sorry. You don't know anything about politics then. I don't consider your opinion. You don't know anything about the left-right distinction then. I'm sorry. You just don't. There are right-wingers that support social safety nets, sure, but not a one of them wants to offer that to everyone. They want to offer it to a very specific little group of their ideal people and exclude everybody else from it. They would not, right? Like super far-right people, like Hitler, for example, are not exactly known for their open border policies, whereas I would love to welcome more immigrants into this country. Who would pay for all that? I don't know. Maybe we tax the fucking rich? Maybe we reduce our military budget? Do we really need a $1,500 coffee mug for the Air Force? For someone like myself who has never heard of market socialism, what else would that include? Change if America changed that? So I think in an ideal market socialist system, human needs, meaning water, shelter, some form of transportation, breathable air, and food would be baseline provided. Now, food would be the most difficult one to introduce. What I would want to see with some kind of universal food stipend is a card that is designed so that it's got certain amounts of each type of food that it can be spent on. I'm willing to hear an argument from other socialists, though, that that's like too exclusionary. I'm willing to hear the argument, but in my ideal kind of system, you would have like, I don't know, 20% that you can spend on convenience store kind of stuff, and then 30% you can spend on proteins, and then 30% you can spend on carbs, and then like 10% for spices and things like that, and 10% for sweeteners and added sugars and desserts, right? Maybe we would have to break that up even farther into different component categories. Like I said, I'm not a fucking policymaker. I don't know what the exact perfect way to implement the food stipend would be, but I do know that a market socialist system would be implementing at least some kind of universal food assistance to the people living within it. At least an ideal market socialist society would be. You would also have subsidized housing, or not subsidized housing. You would have housing that is completely like owned by the people who live in the houses or in the apartments or whatever it is. So apartments would be community run. They would elect a board of trustees from within their own ranks, and whenever someone moves out that is a trustee, there would be a new election and all that, right? Every 2 or 3 years, you elect new people. You run these things as communities. They are the ones who review the applications and decide whether or not a given applicant will be allowed to move in. The democratic nature of these communities ensures that even if they do end up becoming homogenized by the will of a dedicated group of people, that at the very least they are not able to exercise any larger authority over anything other than that apartment block, right? It is interesting to think about, if a little difficult, but it's not that hard to provide fresh drinkable water. Most American cities do it already, but we need improvements to our necessary public utilities, like massive improvements. Flint is not the only fucking city in America with lead flowing through its pipes, mind you. Holy yap. Aww. Boo-hoo. Someone's talking online. We still have not gotten a single Cash App donation. We have made $10 in fucking super chats, though. What is the term used for that flag exactly? I don't remember its specific name. I'm sorry. I'm a farther right conservative than most and agree with most of what Phoebe is saying. Then I don't think you're that far right, friend. I'm sorry. You can't think, okay, I would be okay with every fucking social safety net being applied to every fucking social group and also be a conservative. I just don't see how that doesn't mesh in my mind. Like, for a fact that Trump is not supporting policies like that, and I associate far-right conservatives with people who like Trump, you know? Like, I don't know, I know that there is kind of a split there, like the Nick Fuentes types, but you don't strike me as a Nazi, sorry. In all honesty, my money is my money. I will spend it on what I want to spend it on. Not going to be you, sister and Zachary. That's chill. Is this Will Byers? I don't know who that is. Silly, why can't I just keep my own money, having more than half my paycheck gone before I even get it? Are you talking about, like, taxes? What do you think of Charlie Kirk? I feel like I've gone over this so many times that it has become utterly boring, to be completely honest with you. I talked about Charlie Kirk a ton in the wake of his death. A ton. A ton, a ton. But I guess I'll give you the run through one more time. I think he was a backwards, bigoted moron, but nevertheless did not deserve to die shot dead like a dog on the street. I think that was probably not a good look for whatever group ends up having been responsible. If there indeed was a group responsible, which I kind of doubt. I kind of think that Tyler Robinson was just a crazy fuck that wasn't necessarily allied with any party hardcore, that wasn't really allied with any political movement hardcore. Like, I don't think he was a groiper, but I also don't think he was like some kind of Democrat or something like that, you know? What's your opinion on AR-15s? Overhyped. Very overhyped weapons. Primarily useful for vermin hunting, made out to be machine guns with deadly accuracy and force. It's made out to be this like deadly machine gun, that can just like lay targets down with instant precision and alarming force, when in reality, like, vast majority of people that have AR-15s have them chambered in like 22, and they use them to hunt off vermin and coyotes and shit like that. Hilarious seeing people call you a liberal. About as far left as you can get, but whatever, man. Whatever. You cannot break the delusions of some people. That is just how it's going to be. So you can agree there's a civilian use. The only use I've mentioned so far is civilian use. Yeah, there's a civilian use. It's just a limited use. It's here's the thing. I feel like conservatives and liberals both get the AR-15 wrong. Here's what the AR-15 is: a vermin hunting rifle that was adopted by the U.S. military and changed to chamber 5.56 and like given a larger magazine and full auto mode for their implementation. And for the most part, it's not really used like that. And my evidence for that, like I'm still talking in the civilian world, like my evidence for that is that there's been like 2 or 3, I think, major mass shootings have been committed with this weapon. Like Parkland was committed with an AR-15, but I hesitate to think of other ones that were. Like a lot of mass shootings are committed with handguns because it's way easier to hide a handgun. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was committed with a fuck, I don't even remember what that one was, but it was a big old hunting rifle. I know that. 5.56 is a weak cartridge. Also, you can get more firepower with a lever action and accuracy. 100%. I know that. Yeah, I was raised with, like, literally, I grew up in Mississippi. My dad is a fucking old school dude that fucking grew up in a way that, like, even most people his age didn't grow up because he was raised by his grandparents. And so he taught me how to shoot when I was probably 7 or 8. And, you know, I'm not a gun obsessive, but I know my way around a firearm. I'm leaving the stream, but enjoyed the commentary. Don't agree with everything you said. Why would I? But I respect you nonetheless. First Amendment. Have a great night. Yeah, you too, TV. While there's still some people in here, though, please sign up for the membership. I would love to see some more fucking people come over to the members-only stream that is going to be happening in just a few minutes. Please come over there. It's going to be so fun. The membership is so fucking cheap, and it allows you to see a whole bunch of other streams that are members-only that have been done in the past. And it's just fun. It's good for your health. It's great. Just do it. We will not entertain the thought that Floyd overdosed. Yeah, he didn't. It was literally like the coroner's report confirmed that it was fucking asphyxia. So don't even hit me with that. What's your opinion on allowing minors to receive trans surgery? My opinion is that that is such a fucking rare occurrence that I really don't need to be concerned about it from a policy position. Like if that's if their doctor thinks that that's the right course of action for them, then I think that the medical community probably knows more than I do about this one. What's your thought on the ICE agent shooting that woman? That he's a fucking monster, a ghoulish monster that needs to be fucking held accountable for his crimes, that likely will not be held accountable because right now we have a completely unaccountable administration in the White House, and he has infected the entire federal government with cronies of his and people that are on his side and willing to enact the kind of fascism that he wants to see brought to fruition here in America because he is a visionary for a billionaire-led world. He wants to see the world, the entire planet, subjugated for billionaires, and he wants to start that process right here in America, folks. He was not almost ran over. He circles around the fucking car like a vulture, and it's on his second circle when he literally gets done with his fucking yeah. No, it's when he gets done with his first circle, I think. Yeah, so he does a circle around the fucking truck. And it's when he's about to start a second circle, he fucking steps into the path of the vehicle, and then the woman fucking she fucking hits the gas. After, by the way, you can literally see in the footage her chalking her wheel to the right. The dude standing on her left, she's chalking her wheel to the right. Dude chooses to step into the way of her vehicle as if his little body is going to stop the car or something. Really, it's just so he can justify getting his gun, and which he already had in his hand. I say getting it like he disarmed as soon as she fucking put the car in reverse because he was looking for an excuse to kill. I think that the president has sent down a directive to fucking federal agents like, yeah, kill mode. Let's just start killing people. Like, literally. Donald Trump himself said that he could shoot someone in Times Square in broad daylight and still remain president and not be prosecuted for it. And right now, he's demonstrating that. And if you don't believe that, just check Twitter. There was literally a fucking right-wing influencer who was talking about how the ICE shooting was an execution. How the ICE shooting was an execution, and how they destroyed one of us, and how the rest of the left is next, and all this other shit. And he's got an army of cops behind him. Why do you think he wanted to murder? Because I think there was a directive sent on from on high. I think Donald Trump wants to implement martial law. I think that he wants to get the country to so great a point where I think he wants to get the rhetoric and the heat to so great a point where things spill over into some kind of fucking civil war. And I think he wants to leave in the wake of that a system that isn't American democracy. I don't think he personally wants to be dictator for life, because I think he knows that he's got a limited amount of life left. He's an old man, you know? Like, he's not gonna live 20 years, you know? Like, isn't he in his 80s already? He would literally be like the oldest president in recorded history if he lived to be that old. So he's not gonna, you know, he's an old man. He's not gonna set himself up as dictator for life, but he might set up one of these Trump cronies, one of his children maybe. And that thought is legitimately scary, legitimately alarming. The car barely brushed up against him and he shot her. He walked away while screwing around on his phone like it's a normal Wednesday. Yeah, 100%. Literally, he was so casual about it, and he fucking did it with such malice and aggression. Just, ugh. Disgusting video. Horrible to see. What do you think about Candace Owens? Clout farming. Clout sharking. I feel like she's clout sharking, man. Candace Owens is clout sharking off of Charlie Kirk. Can we just say it? Like, maybe, like, here's the thing. I'm not saying she's wrong, because I don't know, dude. Like, we don't fucking know the facts of the goddamn case yet. Maybe it'll come out in court that Tyler Robinson really is a Mossad agent. I don't know. I don't imagine, but Trump needs a third term because he has done more positive this country than Sleepy Joe. Well, I don't think either of them have done really much positive for the country. Like, I think Joe Biden did a lot of things that were positive for the country that were just like good governance and things that like were going to have to happen or the country was just going to fall apart completely. But like, I think he was better than Trump in that regard. But, you know, Biden was not some transformative president. And it's high time that Democrats, leftists, liberals, etc., stop making excuses for Biden and stop making excuses for the DNC. We can win a plurality in the fucking states as a third party if we fucking start early. We can, we can, we can, we can, we can. The people's voice has spoken in this way before, and it can again. I don't think Tyler Robinson was involved. He was at Dairy Queen 3 minutes after eating a blizzard. It is weird, man. But, hey, wouldn't that make sense, though? Think about it. If you were in Tyler Robinson's position, your first fucking thing you're going to want to do, the first fucking thing you're going to want to do is, like, establish some other alibi for yourself, right? That's what I would think. It's like try to give yourself some kind of reasonable excuse and alibi or something. Like, so, okay, jump down from the fucking building, run across that hill, drop his rifle off in the woods, change into some different clothes, go to a Dairy Queen and be seen eating there. You could easily do that in 3 minutes. Like, unless the Dairy Queen was on the complete other side of town, that to me doesn't say that Tyler Robinson didn't do it. I'm conservative, but some of the political opinions of people in this chat are so simple and lame. I do agree that they don't have much to offer, and it is sad kind of trying to argue with some of them sometimes, because, like, you and Access Clan have been good, you know, but, there's camera footage of the arrest. So? What does that prove? That's what counts as debate from these days. What do you mean, Riley? Oh, okay. The Dairy Queen was 10 minutes away by foot. What if he ran? What if, okay, but 10 minutes away by foot, what if they are calculating for if you're taking the sidewalks and shit? But what if Tyler Robinson knew some back channel way? Why don't you keep this to yourself? You have no reason to broadcast to the world. What a bitter person. Well, welcome to chat. Because you aren't making sense, that is why it's frustrating to argue. Huh? What? What a liberal? Is that just your little buzzword for anybody you don't like? You know? Is it like fascist for liberals? Is it like when a liberal calls like anybody that happens to be a Republican? It's like when they call them fascists and Nazis and shit, just automatically? Like no distinction? Like I at least make the distinction between hardcore MAGA people still supporting ICE in the wake of the shooting of Rachel Good, you know? Like I think at that point, yeah, you're kind of lost a little bit. Not a Nazi necessarily, but pretty politically lost. You also have free speech. That is true. And as long as you remain original and interesting, Noah, you can keep spouting whatever hateful shit you want in my chat. As long as you don't break the TOS too hard. Simpletons think it's literally only been liberals versus conservatives. LOL, it's so funny. I know, dude. In the minds of simple-minded electoral dumb fucks, right? Here's all the politicking that can be done. You liberal Democrat or you conservative Republican and did nothing else. Okay? But the truth of it is, the original fucking American politics that dominated this country were completely separated from the politics that we have today. Originally, there was a Democrat-Republican Party and the Federalists. And then there was the Democrat-Republican Party, the Federalists, and the Anti-Federalists. Then there were the Whigs. There was an American Tory Party for a while. The parties have went through such profound shifts, right? And that's before we even get into the 1930s with the rise of American socialism and the adoption. You know, like politicians like Huey Long helped to make sure that mainstream politicians started adopting socialist policies, because it was impossible to look at a mayor like Huey Long and not think, holy shit, these policies could work in my state too. Because Huey Long was actually helping the people of Louisiana. You know, he was helping the people of Louisiana. He had fucking, he had his flaws, but he was helping them out. And people saw those policies working, and those policies started becoming more mainstream because of the adoption of people like him and FDR and stuff like that, choosing to adopt these more socialist ideas. And then, like, people don't even want to give socialism credit for anything. They want to act like it's some kind of scary philosophy that can't touch American shores. But the reality of it is, socialism has already affected our politics. The very fact that we have to argue about what exact limits to Social Security and these social safety nets in general proves that socialism has already affected our politics. And I think that that's a good thing. That's a great thing. Socialism encourages you to think of your fellow human being. You know, like, it encourages you to prioritize them as you prioritize yourself. Just like Jesus asked you to do, come to think of it. What's your main argument for socialism? Because Jesus would want it. Love thy neighbor as one. You can't love your neighbor as you love yourself if you don't want to fucking take care of your neighbor when your neighbor is in need. And if you're not willing to subsidize the collective good of yourself and your neighbors with your taxes, then I don't think you're following the message of Christ. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a Christian, but that is like the Christian anarchist reason for why you should be a socialist. And if you are a Christian that is a lefty, feel free to use that in the future. But the real reason I'm a socialist is because I care about human happiness. I think you can quantify human happiness in a scientific and repeatable way. And I think that there are policies that correlate with higher rates of happiness. I think that you can see this in the fact that so many of the Nordic countries are some of the happiest places on earth, European countries in general, really. There are common trends among the happiest countries on earth. I think that these can be indicators of policy directions that we should take. And ultimately, that's what I derive my politics from. What do I think is going to increase human happiness? I know for a fact universal healthcare makes people's healthcare outcomes better, which makes people's lives better, which makes people happier, which makes everyone else like they just that's improvement. That's as good as you can get to good policy, because good and evil don't actually exist, and the best you can do is an approximation of good by trying to quantify what is, like good for humanity in terms of what makes us happy. That's the only way to, I think, come away with cogent, self-justifying politics, unless you want to rely on some kind of theological figure. You're not protected by the First Amendment. It's a YouTube chat. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I mean, if you ask for a ban, you're probably going to get a ban. Damn, dude. Oh, I wanted a pizza so bad tonight. Oh, well, whatever. Whatever, you know what? My bills are paid. I was able to get a little bit of a re-up, and I was able to buy some hay for the animals. So I should you know what? I'm going to quit my bitching. I'm going to fucking cut my losses. I'm going to accept things as they are. I'm going to go with the flow. Okay? You know? Nah. Gratitude is a virtue. That's what they say. I'll still mail you pizza roll, Phoebes. Aw, thanks. My husband is out for 3 weeks, and when he gets home, I'm ordering a Phoebe membership. Hell yeah. Someone should gift a membership so that Harper gets one. That would be sweet of you guys. No, I don't know. But seriously, I'm about to go as soon as I finish this bowl, which has taken me an hour to smoke. And I'm going to do a members only stream. So if you have an interest in watching that, please fucking sign up for the membership while we're still here. Can Margot get some pizza rolls? That's a good question. Government should be limited in power. Of course, I think it's naturally limited in democratic societies with the will of the people, right? The will of the people is what stamps down the overreach of governance. What membership tier do I need to be able to join the stream? Anyone, any memberships? Yeah, join any membership tier to be able to see the stream. It's for all membership tiers. That is the one that will enable you to watch the members only content. Members only content. Members only content. Do you think Iran is about to topple? By the way, I know it's pronounced Iran. I just fucked up. Do I think Iran is about to topple? It wouldn't shock me, honestly. Dude, okay, Iran is getting fucked over from a number of directions, right? So, the Islamic Revolution happened in the 1970s, 1979 to be exact, and it left them with the Ayatollah Khomeini in charge, and like a hostage crisis and all this other shit. Massive period of change, and for a while things were stable. They've been developing for a long time. Very authoritarian country, very far right country. But the people have really never been completely on board with that, because the people were already super westernized back in the 60s and 70s when the Ayatollah was able to come to power. And a lot of urban people in Iran to this day remain, secretly not really aligned with the Ayatollah and with the mullahs in general. And this political repression has kind of led to a powder keg that is now starting to kind of explode, and that is fueling kind of the size of these demonstrations and the capacity of them to be self-sustaining. Thank you for joining the membership. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys, the rest of you guys should join the membership as well if you're not already. What was I saying? Middle East, something about the Middle East, right? Iran. Yeah, so another thing that they did is, or another thing they're going through is the water crisis, right? So Iran has not been using its water wisely. Iran has been wasting a ton of its water, which is really, like you shouldn't, like it's, and by when I say wasting a lot of its water, a lot of it has been wasted through leaks and cracks and badly maintained infrastructure that needs to be rebuilt. But some of it's just being wasted on the fact that, like, Iran should be an importer of agricultural products for the most part. Iran really does not have that many places that are conducive to agriculture, but Iran is trying to farm massive fucking chunks of its country. And because of it, because it's kind of done this, like, it's endangered in a very real way their water supply. So, like, Iranians are dealing with a massive fucking drought right now, like a massive crisis of water. They're dealing with political repression. There's been a number of protests in Iran over the last few years. I don't know for sure, but I will tell you this. It wouldn't surprise me. Now, it also won't surprise me if the fucking Ayatollah is able to quell it and everything goes on just as normal. Because the fact of it is, Iran has gone through a lot of these cycles in the past, and a lot of times it doesn't result in anything. Like there have been times in Iran's past, a lot of times, when they have taken to the streets in massive protest, and then eventually things just kind of, I don't know, like they normalize. I don't know how else to put it. God, I'm so hungry. I'm gonna have to get me something to eat at some point. Tehran looks strikingly similar to my city. Those images from last year of Iran being bombed were eerie. Yeah, I mean, Tehran is a pretty modern city. People don't look at it as one, but yeah. I'm still struggling to find my political footing as much as I think I'm left. The way a lot of the left celebrated Kirk's death saddens me as a human. I still want universal healthcare and food/resources. You're still on the left, then. You can find that behavior monstrous and ghoulish without thinking that everybody needs to be subjugated. Like, you don't have to be a conservative just because you had some empathy for a conservative. I think you're right to have empathy for a guy like Charlie Kirk. Not because he's a conservative, but because he was a human being who was shot dead like a dog for having the wrong opinion, I guess, right in front of his kids, right in front of his wife, and in front of 2,000 innocent people that didn't do shit to deserve seeing something like that. So fuck whoever fired that shot. I ain't gonna say we are Charlie Kirk, and I think the people who do are kind of silly, but I can understand why so many people thought that reaction, that like the celebratory reaction, was ghoulish. And I'm saying, like, I understand that reaction too, like I get it. It's a very, but I just feel like the human element here, like, can't be forgotten. Maybe I'm a pussy for that. How many proxy countries run by the U.S. do you believe exist currently? Okay, so we got Venezuela, we got Japan, we got the UK, we got Israel. Well, kind of. That one's kind of, they run us, we run them kind of situation. So the Philippines. We don't exercise as much control in the Philippines because they're not as strategically useful. But we're over there. I think an argument could be made that we own Germany, France, Spain, and Italy, honestly, at this point. Like, it seems like we pretty much own most of Western Europe. It seems like the Dutch and the Northern Europeans seem to be willing to, stem the tide of American fascism. Maybe they certainly are talking a big game about it, but the rest of Western Europe seems to be okay with allowing us to take over the entirety of the Western Hemisphere if we should so desire. You like Rage Against the Machine? I do like some Rage, yes. I wanted to also thank you for letting me ask questions without a vitriolic reaction. It really makes me comfy just being able to ask, even if I'm not knowledgeable in all political matters. Oh, well, yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what I try to do here is like if somebody comes at me with rude questions, like if they're being rude, right? If they're trying to get a rise out of me, sometimes I'll let them. Sometimes I'll give them some of that vitriol that they're spitting out. But if somebody comes to me with simple questions, basic understanding, I love to educate if I can. And I would never want to approach someone like that with meanness and anger in my heart. Are you happy? No, because I really, really, really wanted a pizza tonight, and it does not look like I'm going to be able to get one. And that is really, really heartbreaking. But in general, yes. Like in general, in life in general, yeah. No, my nose. It would suck if I got a Cash App donation and then I found out the Domino's near me is closed. Wouldn't that be a kick in the head? I'm thinking they do delivery till 12 a.m. though. Wouldn't that be a kick in the head? Don't be mad, but I got anchovies on my pizza. Oh, I'm not mad at you at all. That helps me fantasize about pizza more. Dude, I don't like anchovies though, But I will tell you, it's not because I've had them. I don't like the idea of anchovies, but I don't know what they would actually be like if I got them on my pizza. No, Phoebes get good pizza. I don't know that I have good pizza near me, Riley. Not this late at night. Oh man. Oh man. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Oh man. Oh, dog. I am so susceptible to the munchies. It is fucking insane. Anyway. How would I be able to give you some money? I would send it through YouTube, but I don't want them to take a cut. Oh, if you have Cash App, my Cashtag is the pinned comment, actually. The pinned comment, I don't know if you're able to see it. I don't know if it disappears or anything, but it's also in my description. The mental health system is bad. I was sent to a mental hospital, and some people just don't know how to treat people going through hard times. That is 100% true. The mental health system in America needs major fucking overhaul. Major overhaul in a way most people don't even want to talk about or approach. Check your Cash App. Oh shit, we might have gotten a little something something. Ah, we got $20. Oh my god. Ah. Okay. Ha! Okay. Ha! Ah! Oh, I hope there's still a place open. Ah! Margot is the fucking goat. Margot is the fucking queen of all existence. Worship her like a god. Are you high? No, officer. I'm sober tonight. Thanks. You guys want to watch something cool? Let's see if I can do it. I don't think I did it right. I couldn't really see myself, though. Oh, okay. So that's what I need to do. Ah, okay. Now I know how to do it. Hold on. Now I know how to do it. I was blocking off my mouth with the wrong part of my tongue. And therefore I wasn't giving myself enough space. Here we go. Don't need much. Just a little top off. Let's try it again. And then we're going to go inside, start the members only stream. Margot is a member, isn't she? Okay, yeah, she is. And then we're going to order pizza. And you guys watch it come. I accidentally inhaled. Damn it. I fucked it up again. Damn it. Whatever. There we go. I just didn't think about it, and it worked. My brain is like an egg in a frying pan right now. Like, this is your brain on drugs ad. Yeah, dude. I love that for you. My tongue knows all kinds of other tricks, though. Oh. This is your brain, and this is your brain in a Phoebe chat. Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. Yes, yes, yes. I'm screenshotting that. That's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. Oh, I'm saving that. Would you be willing to make a Discord server so we could talk more? I feel like I miss your streams because they're late. Plus, this is my first YouTube membership. Well, Radiant Goddess, you'll be happy to hear that we actually do have a Discord. And as soon as I get inside and start the members-only stream, which you will be watching, I will share it with you guys. So, see you in there. I'm going to start that shit. I'm going to go use the... I'm going to use the little girl's room first. And then I'm gonna pour myself a water. And then we're gonna do members only stream. And I will share the Discord link there. Intermission, yes. Okay. Bye, bitches. As the great, amazing atheist, my mentor and friend, and AKA Into the Fray, AKA TJ Kirk, fucking the coolest motherfucker I know, used to say, peace the fuck